5-mile-per-hour winds there. Tropical storm and hurricane force winds impacting the island of Jamaica right now, up to around 40 inches of rain expected. And it's now made landfall. We're watching the eye of it, which is interesting. Some community members right now are dealing with some of the calmest conditions they've seen all week now that they're in the center of that eye, but it's continuing to track its way north just along that western part of the island. So take a look at this. Let's start off with what's happening outside over into Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Haiti. Everybody's either dealing with the center of the storm or the outer bands too, as it continues to track its way north. Our friends over into Cuba gearing up for the worst too. They're expecting up to around 20 inches of rain as that storm system continues to track its way north. So throughout the next 72 hours, this strong hurricane continues to move its way to the northwest, dumping close to around 40 inches of rain for our friends along Jamaica, especially in those higher elevated areas. And the reason why I'm concerned about that, the topography of Jamaica is very interesting and unique. There's a lot of mountains, and they can see, and they're gearing up for landslides on top of storm surge just along those coastal communities too. So two major impacts and threats there. Up to around 13 feet storm surge expected in Jamaica, 11 feet all the way over into southeast Cuba as that storm continues to track its way to the north. So here's that track right behind me. As it moves over land in Cuba, it will start to decay a little bit. As it enters cooler sea surface temperatures, it will continue to decay as it moves its way north. So that's what we're keeping a close eye on as we head into the next 72 hours, pushing through the Caribbean right now. I want to show you where it's at and where it's going. First things first, you take a look at the hurricane force winds. That's in that maroon color you see. It was tracking west for a while, tilted north, and now it's pushing its way through Jamaica, up to around 70-mile-per-hour winds there. In the surrounding orange color, that's tropical storm force winds, so closer to around 45-mile-per-hour winds at its core. Now, I want to turn the graphic and show you a couple of other things happening for us. Here's where we're at right now when it comes to that hurricane and just the eye of it. It's now made landfall in the western portion of Jamaica. We're continuing to keep a close eye on impacts there. Like I said, the topography plays a huge factor in this. Anywhere up to around 40 inches of rain is expected in some of those higher elevated areas. But as the storm continues to track north, those winds are going to change directions too, and that could bring lasting impacts as well. Let's zoom in just a little bit closer. There's that southern coastline that we were talking about just near White House, Jamaica. That's where it's currently pushing through. So some of our community members there that we're keeping a close eye on are also dealing with some calm conditions in the center of that eye before that eye wall continues to move its way northward. Now, spaghetti models are showing it move to the north and to the west. So eventually it's going to start pushing over into Bermuda into the coming days. Bermuda dealt with a very active season this year in the Atlantic, but we're continuing to keep a close eye on this one as it impacts Jamaica with the strongest storm they've ever seen on record, dating back to 1851 when we started recording. And this is going to leave lasting impacts to our friends in Cuba too. Breed?
All right, already we're understanding 7 deaths, more yet to come. We hope everybody's safe, but it is not looking good there. You are looking at camera angles from many parts of Jamaica right now. And as you can see, people are still in some places out there on the roadways. We understand a lot of people are just saying, look, I'm having to board up my business or my home. Those last-second preparations, according to emergency personnel, could cost life and limb. So if you are somehow in receipt of our broadcast, just know to heed the warnings and find shelter quickly. All right, so for the first time ever, that hurricane forced hurricane hunters in a plane to turn back, to turn around. Hurricane Melissa, so intense that even the experts at one point turned back. Look at that. That's a monster visual there. Matthew Capucci has flown through Melissa in recent days. He's live with us now to talk about that experience. So are you surprised by the need to turn around by your peers for their flight yesterday?
You know, given the magnitude of this hurricane, truth be told, I'm not very surprised at all. You know, planes can fly into intense hurricanes, but the issue is with an intensifying system like Melissa, which is strengthening up until the point of landfall, you get so many chaotic, smaller scale winds embedded in the overall circulation. You get things called mesovortices, smaller scale whirls inside the overall eye. And that can be critical for flights because they get jostled around extreme turbulence, and that turbulence puts pressure, G-force, on the airframe. And if it's high end enough, it can actually cause structural damage. So yesterday there was a flight that had to be abandoned. Today there was another one from the Air Force that had to turn back. And it really just shows you just how powerful Melissa is.
Well, and we know that there's steel in the spine of people like you who go up and fly through the eyes of these hurricanes because you're bringing back data that can save life. So to turn around really speaks to the magnitude. What would they likely have felt in those moments when they said, look, we're going to abort this mission?
So I actually pulled some data earlier on. The plane went up and down by about, I believe, 700 feet in 1 minute's time,
Whoa.
which Yeah, I mean, that's incredible turbulence. In past hurricane hunter flights, there have been up to about 20, 30 degrees of sort of tilt left or right from the wings, seeing more lift on one side compared to the other due to that extreme turbulence. And so I only encountered low-end turbulence Sunday night, low to mid-end turbulence. I mean, I definitely reach for the motion sickness bag. But for the folks who do this all the time, like the hurricane hunters, they're used to incredible things. And for them to turn back is very telling.
700 feet. We're talking about the equivalent of a several-story building drop in just a matter of 1 minute. That has got to be a gut check.
I can only imagine. And, these planes are built for this. These are P-3 Orions from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And then the Air Force also has a number of very intense propeller planes. And they're built for this. Yet, to get something this dramatic shows you how serious Melissa is. Now, interestingly, when I flew through the eye wall on Sunday night, I encountered something incredible called the stadium effect. If we pull that picture up, you'll be able to see, I could see stars above me from the clear skies inside the eye, and yet all around me, I saw the eye wall with the 140, 150 mile per hour winds.
Packs a punch for sure, and I'm not sure if our people in the back can do this, but if we can pull up some live cameras there around Jamaica, because I want to ask you about the situation on the ground now. Of course, we know that this hurricane has made landfall in that New Hope region. For anybody who is looking at these live images right now and think, oh, doesn't look too bad, looks rainy, looks windy, but maybe I can tough it out. What is your message to them as somebody who has flown through this monster?
Hell on earth is unfolding right now in Jamaica. In western Jamaica, the eye wall, that innermost buzzsaw of extreme winds, is lifting ashore. Winds likely gusting over 150 miles per hour on land. Ordinarily, we see these high-end winds over the open ocean. But to get this in a populated area with 2.8 million people in the developing nation of Jamaica is going to lead to unimaginable tragedy and structural damage. Some communities will be isolated. And this is just the start of a very long duration disaster and humanitarian crisis. The disaster does not end when the storm leaves, it just begins, and this will last a very long time. The other thing worth mentioning too, with the 150 mile per hour winds, those are tornado magnitude wind speeds. They'll last for up to 3 hours in some places, given the slow movement of the eye wall. That will cause incredible structural damage, lift compact cars, potentially loft even small SUVs and move them around. But the tree damage will be extreme. Vegetation will be either destroyed, denuded, or defoliated, and so the landscape won't even look the same until about 10 years later, if not more.
And a person from the Red Cross whose interview we aired just a little while ago said that Melissa is wide and she is slow. And I think about what happens in an earthquake, when an earthquake happens and it's over in 20 seconds. But then we know earthquakes can go for 2-3 minutes. And that is when that sustained damage really piles up. So to use that sort of framework, talking about a very slow, a very wide hurricane that is going to last for several minutes, if not several hours, that's really when the devastation piles up, is it not?
Oh, definitely, because when you get these extreme gusts, in a tornado, they last maybe a few seconds, but the inner eye wall, which contains the most extreme gusts, might last several minutes, if not a good portion of an hour. Then you get into the eye. You can see that picture right there. That's a picture I took inside the eye on Sunday night with the moon actually shining overhead. There are those stars. And then you get to the backside of the eye wall, where suddenly the winds have switched direction and they're back with a vengeance. And so realistically, the forces imparted on structures will lead to very serious structural damage to all but the most well-constructed homes. And any debris left outside, any debris that's fragmented and broken about, will become lethal missiles.
Right. And, I've covered hurricanes before, lived in Miami, have been to NOAA, know what all of that is about. And I know that there's also a warning that, they might feel a jostling, the people experiencing this hurricane, and then they might feel a moment or even several moments of calm. And then they go out to maybe check things out. That is not the time to brave this conditions.
The eye is the most peaceful, horrifying, beautiful, and terrifying place you can imagine. When I was in the eye the other night, I could look up and see stars. The winds went calm briefly. And yet all around me, you see that buzzsaw of extreme winds. It's like being in the middle of an atmospheric whirlpool, a sink drain, if you will. It's an incredible feeling. And yet, all around you, just 10 miles away in any direction, 5 miles away in any direction, you have tornado-like wind speeds. And so for folks who find themselves in the eye, As soon as you see it, look up, get your glimpse, take 5 seconds, and then get back to shelter. And if you need to relocate from whatever shelter you were in, that's the time to do so if you quickly can. Because remember, the winds will switch direction. So the part of your home that you sought refuge in on one side may not be the best for the second half of the storm.
All right. From somebody who has literally flown through Melissa, Matthew Capucci, thank you so much for that life-saving information. We have the opportunity to partner with the BBC. They're following the hurricane as well. Let's listen in.
Well, our correspondent Nick Davis sent this from Jamaica.
The storm made landfall shortly after lunchtime here in Jamaica. And since that time, we've been noticing the impacts of the outer bands getting stronger and stronger, more intense rain. This is just a pocket which we've been able to get outside to be able to shoot in. Stronger winds, and on top of that, especially as you get into the hills, more flooding. Now, the actual storm itself made its way along the sort of southwestern part of the island. It's moved further and further westwards, but it's finally made ground in an area called Parity in St. Elizabeth, and it's making its way almost a track going straight up the island, going all the way across and exiting on the north coast near Trelawney. Now, this storm is going to have impacts like this continuing for the next 6 or 7 hours, and it's going to be continuing to dump rain up to 30 inches in some places, nearly a meter's worth of rain. The average parts of Jamaica are going to see around 13 to 16 inches during the course of the main storm itself. But it's the wind events which many people are concerned about. It's the fact that roofs can be blown off if they're not properly secured, but weaker concrete structures could be disabled and could actually fall down. People are praying that they've built strong enough. They're praying that the storm passes quicker than what it did in terms of making its way across the island. Time really is only going to tell.
Well, that was Nick Davis in Jamaica for us, and just a postscript on that. He recorded that before it made landfall. We've had landfall about 30 minutes ago, confirmation from the Hurricane Centre, and giving us details about where it's hit and wind speeds and all of that. But that's just a glimpse of what it's like there on the ground. Let's speak to George Clack now, who's on holiday in Jamaica with his family. George, thank you for being here with us. Why don't you start by just describing where you are? You look like you're in a hotel as opposed to a shelter. Am I right about that?
So my name is George Chack. We are staying at Moon Palace, Jamaica. It is a nice resort here. There is a private shelter for us. We've been cooped up there all night. They've kind of let us out into the buffet area just so that we can kind of unwind a little bit. Everybody's a little bit on edge. The waiting and the anxiety is probably the worst part of it. We're on the northern side of Jamaica in Ocho Rios, so we're still shielded by the mountains. The wind speeds here are only about 60 miles per hour, but it's forecasted to hit us here within the next 4 hours. Could be as late as 8 p.m., which is in about 8 hours. Because the hurricane is moving so slow, it's hard to predict.
Give me an idea then what it has been like for the last few days.
I have to give my props to the staff. They've been very professional, quaint. They've been doing a good job at keeping people's spirits high. This is a vacation destination, so there's many bachelorette parties here. There's a wedding here, birthdays, what have you. So people are, I'm not sure if you can hear in the back, they're still trying to make the most out of it. But many of us have not been through a hurricane before, let alone a hurricane of this magnitude. So there's just a lot of dreading and a lot of anxiety as we hunker down.
I said in the introduction that you're there with your family. I take it from your last answer that you have no real experience of sitting through a hurricane, let alone a hurricane of this size. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, which is a desert, so I have absolutely no experience. And most of us here, even the Jamaicans here, don't have experience with a hurricane, a direct hurricane of this size. So, yeah, there's a lot of unknown.
I've just lost a bit of sound there, and throughout the course of the day we've increasingly found it difficult with some of the links. But in terms of what you're able to say to your children to reassure them, what has that been like?
again, the staff here is very confident in their capabilities. They have enough food and diesel to last 7 days. The storm is forecasted to pass tonight. So if we can just make it through the day, and again, the worst of it hasn't hit us yet because we're on the north side. So we're expecting the brunt of the hurricane here. I can show you a little bit of the winds outside, but we're expecting the worst of it to come within the next 4 hours. And we don't really know how long it's going to take. The hotel has sustained some damage already, just minor leaks here and there. But as you can see, we're already getting 60-mile-per-hour winds, and the hurricane's still on the southern tip of the island. So we've got the rest of the day to go.
And presumably the hotel staff are keeping you well away from any glass, any windows. Is there within the hotel any sort of other shelter if it gets really bad?
Yeah, so we have a very large concrete bunker that we've been staying in. They're only letting us out now because we've been holed up there all night. I'll make my way there now so that you can see it. But they gave us a notification that we need to be back there within 30 minutes. So we're taking the time now to just kind of relax and unwind. Again, this is a vacation destination, so many people here are partying, just trying to make the best of it.
That's really interesting that you say they've only let you out for 30 minutes because so many of the people I've been talking to through the course of the day have talked about the anxiety. They've had warning after warning for over a week, and presumably that really is mentally exhausting.
It has been. That is by far the worst part. It's just the preparation and the anxiety, and because the storm is so slow, it's a roller coaster of emotions. You know, you go from, oh my God, we're Googling survivors and damage from Category 5, which is not recommended, and just sit here just trying to keep as much of the children occupied as much as they can. Again, props to the Moon Palace Jamaica staff. I can't commend them enough. But they've sacrificed time from their families to make sure they were taken care of, well stocked with water and food. You can see the shelter here where most of us are staying. This is a very large concrete ballroom. I apologize if my network is unstable.
No, I mean, George, this is really fantastic of you to just take us around. It gives us a real centre. And oh my goodness, as you go around the corner, just the amount of people that are seeing there, that surprises me. I know people have been describing it, but that is a lot of people crammed into a really small area. Give me an idea of how long you were supposed to be there on holiday. Is this the start of the holiday, the middle, or towards the end?
I was supposed to fly out yesterday. Flights got canceled. I have not yet been able to rebook. Can you still hear me?
I can.
Yeah, so my vacation was supposed to end yesterday. We're here for my daughter's second birthday, but the flights have been canceled. We were unable to evacuate. We tried to evacuate Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Nothing happened. And here's my beautiful wife and daughter now. Gonna get some food. And we were unable to evacuate, so we're just waiting for them to announce when they're able to book us flights. We have not yet been able to book a return flight home, so we don't even know when we're going to be able to go home.
Well, George, everything is up in the air, but listen, we are going to leave it there, but it's incredibly good of you to just walk around the hotel, give us a glimpse of what you're actually living through, experience. So thank you so much, George Chack, joining us there on holiday in Jamaica. Thank you so much.
Can I just have some comments? Please pray for Jamaica. Thank you to all the friends and family that have reached out to us. We have nothing to do but to wait and dread. So thank you. Please keep in touch.
George, thank you so much for your time. So you get an idea from that just what people are actually experiencing there, the days in the build-up and now in these hours where that hurricane has actually hit. Let's go back and find out a little more of the preparations for the recovery, what happens next once this actually passes, however long that is going to take. Let's go back to Miami and back to Will Grant. Will, over to you.
Yeah, that's right, Matthew. We've been hearing there just about conditions on the ground in Jamaica, but here in Florida, people are already thinking about the next day, just as soon as they can get aid flights in. One of the main aid agencies doing that is the Global Empowerment Mission, which is where I am now, and with me is their president, Michael Capone. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. This is a huge operation, nothing new to you or your organisation, but try and give me a sense of scale about how big this particular effort that you're making with Jamaica is.
It's big. I mean, when Hurricane Dorian first hit, I think we had to send 30 planes and we had to charter barges that were 300 feet long. They did like 24 trips, runs just for the immediate, right? So we're looking at, you know, a multi-pronged situation where obviously you have high tidal surge, and then you have 175-mile-an-hour winds, and then you got all the mudslides that are going to happen through the mountains and everything, and it's going to shut down the entire infrastructure system. So as soon as there's an airport, we do have some options, military airports that we'll be able to use to fly in cargo planes, but it's going to be a very long haul.
I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's mind anymore just how big this is, but you're hearing from your team there that this is absolutely huge, historic proportions.
I mean, it just made landfall, and there's already roofs flying all over the place. To give you context, when Beryl came, okay, it did not hit the island. It just brushed off of it. 11,000 roofs were destroyed, right? That was nothing compared to this. You can multiply that by 5 easily, right, of how many roofs will blow out. All the wooden structures will never surpass. So, right, in Marsh Harbor, that just becomes like wood and rubble on the floor. So then it leaves a giant part of the population homeless for a very long time.
And there's a lot of talk, obviously, about the fishing villages and the coastal area, but also those rural areas that are very impoverished. They're in grave danger of mudslides and so on in this critical time, aren't they?
That's the breadbasket area, right? That western part is the breadbasket. That's where all the agriculture is grown. All that will be. They've lost, you know, at best one season fully. They can recover from it.
And in terms of your aid effort, what specifically are you sending? What are the immediate needs? Water, blankets, what will you be sending?
You know, we found that generators in the very beginning were so useful. We would bring them to somebody and they would just open up their little store right there again with that, right? And it would get like these little towns up and running again. So we'll need thousands of generators. I think we're sending 100 initially. You're going to need a lot of tarps. We have tarps, and then you're going to need long-term supplies, right? So this warehouse is 56,000 square feet. It's full. We'll probably end up sending 50%, if not more, of everything that's in here over there. But again, there's going to be a housing crisis. There's not going to be enough places, like in Lahaina after the fire in Maui, right? Not going to be enough inventory out there to house everybody. So I think there's going to be so much destruction.
And lastly, what are you hearing about how soon you can make it in with these supplies?
I mean, right now, I think we're going to be able to get...
All right, our thanks to our partners at the BBC for bringing us that compelling coverage as we look at these live cameras. Hurricane Melissa, Category 5, winds up to 185 miles per hour, makes landfall as a lot of people there brace. Jessica is watching that. Jess, what can you tell us?
Well, this is also a record-breaking storm, too, in a lot of ways. Tied for second right now when it comes to wind speeds for one of the strongest hurricanes we've ever seen out in the Atlantic. Tied for third when it comes to barometric pressure, too. But let's head all the way over into Jamaica. It's now made landfall over the island of Jamaica, still at a Category 5 status. Sustained winds at 185 miles per hour. The impact and the threats have to do with storm surge and, of course, landslides all throughout those mountainous terrain areas in Jamaica. Cuba is going to see similar conditions, too, and up to around 40 inches of rain is expected. And some of those higher elevated areas hard to get to, even for our friends over in Jamaica. About 20 inches forecasted all the way over into eastern portions of Cuba as that makes landfall within the next 24 to 48 hours. It's going to continue to track north, bringing up to around 11-foot storm surge in Cuba, about 13-foot storm surge all the way down into Jamaica. We are monitoring this closely, and as it continues to track its way to the northwest, it will start to decay a little bit, entering some cooler sea surface temperatures, also making landfall into Cuba. That helps decay it, and wind shear also factors into that too. But take a look behind me. I want to show you a couple things with this hurricane. An impressive storm system across the board, but what we're keeping a close eye on is the lasting impacts of this. As it made its way into Jamaica, we continue to see it strengthen. Earlier this morning, it was at around 175 mile per hour winds, jumped to 185 now as those warm sea surface temperatures really act like fuel for this to continue to grow. So now that eye wall is pushing its way into Jamaica. Some community members there starting to see calm conditions, but just off in the distance, they could see that southern band or that southern eye wall making its way towards them. and this is what we're tracking closely. Category 5 status, it continues to move its way northward. Here's that eye wall just a little bit closer. You can see it moving its way into Jamaica right now. This will make its way up into Cuba into the coming hours. We're continuing to track that closely. Back to you, Reed.
All right, well, as our hurricane hunter said, who is in just recent days flew right into Hurricane Melissa, right now in some parts of Jamaica, it is, as he said, hell on earth. You're seeing the cameras that we can fire up there in the area. Obviously, many more cameras not able to function right now as that hurricane makes direct impact. You know, we're mindful of the last time a Category 5 hit. That was in Acapulco, Mexico, October 25th, 2023. In that case, 52 dead, 32 still missing by many reports. We hope Jamaica fares much better. Our thoughts and prayers with them. The news continuing coverage on Melissa now with Lindsay Reiser.
The all-new CBS Evening News.
Lay is facing up to $1 million in tariff payments this year alone.
Joling, is Lay going to be able to keep her workers under these conditions?
We don't have the same options as large businesses.
Can your business survive this?
If this is the end of my American dream, I'm going to go down swinging.
Sunday morning, curtain going up on the new season. Jennifer Lopez's new movie, Keanu Reeves on Broadway, and more. Listen for the trumpet.
Live now.
Here we go.
The ultimate tradition continues.
From what I've seen, it's like chaos.
America's #1 news program is now a free streaming channel with full episodes anytime.
Hey, let's go.
60 minutes. Is this what you want?
You're willing to talk about anything. I'm open to all of it.
The hardest hitting interviews.
The former president is known to watch 60 Minutes. If he's watching, what would you want to say to him?
Here, Bill, look at this.
The most influential people.
Who's the best coach in college football? Let me see a mirror so I can look at it.
Are you a billionaire yet?
None of your business. Ain't you trying to get me robbed?
Exclusive investigations.
Am I getting a real look at what life is like in here today? Absolutely not.
Do you think people visiting know that these were looted?
For stories that impact our lives, 60 Minutes demands answers.
To those holding American hostages, you say what?
So many American officials are being targeted. Why is it not a bigger issue?
What is the most important takeaway for our audience?
What is your role in all of this?
How big of a problem is doping?
Where was the military?
Why are people suspicious?
That sounds like a problem.
How is this possible?
Oh, come on. Come on.
Whoa.
Wow.
What is going on?
I'm Scott Pelley.
I'm John Worth.
I'm Leslie Stahl.
I'm Bill Whitaker.
I'm Sharon Alfonsi.
I'm Cecilia Vega.
I'm Anderson Cooper.
This is 60 Minutes.
The CBS News original.
Showtime, baby.
It's time for 60 Minutes. Watch anytime.
To be moderator of Face the Nation means bringing the most powerful stakeholders to the table to become better informed.
When do consumers actually get to touch and feel a difference in their lives?
Ready?
Yeah. You ready?
And 1, 2, 3. Hey!
I can see clearly now.
Look at this outfit. Amazing. Give me some love, baby.
We got a toy. Look at this.
Oh, no! Time for another quick meal you can make any night of the week.
We've got tips to save on clothes, tech,
and more.
How I got here is nothing short of like a miracle.
Talent.
Talent.
It's a bright, bright, bright way to start your day.
See you
on CBS Mornings.
The CBS Evening News, not like anything else on TV.
If people are watching this, what do you want to tell them?
We need help.
When your husband had a heart attack, if you had to go to the next closest hospital, how long would that take?
Over a half an hour.
The CBS Evening News.
This week on CBS Mornings, fashion icon Anna Wintour, designer Bob Mackie, and actor Diane Lane. Plus, I sit down with Tracy Morgan, star of the new sitcom Crush. CBS Mornings this week. Look.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Lindsay Reiser. It's being called the storm of the century. Hurricane Melissa has made landfall in the island nation of Jamaica with sustained winds of 185 miles per hour. This marks the strongest storm to hit the country since record keeping began 174 years ago, and one of the strongest Atlantic storms ever recorded. Jamaica's prime minister says the government has done all it can do to prepare for the storm, but no infrastructure there can withstand a Category 5 hurricane. For more on Melissa, CBS News New York meteorologist Scott Padgett joins us now here in studio. Scott, thank you for being here. You and I were discussing this. We're not just talking about strongest storm to hit Jamaica. We're talking about one of the strongest ever globally.
Yeah, that's right. You know, with winds sustained at 185 miles per hour, it's nothing you ever want to see. You know, we did have a hurricane. It was Hurricane Allen that had 190 mile per hour sustained winds. So this is going to be devastation for days. They're going to be having to recover.
So we're talking only 5 miles per hour less than the highest, the strongest storm ever recorded.
That we've seen that is recorded in recorded history. And unfortunately, it's a slow moving storm. So with that in mind, it's going to take some time to move over the island nation of Jamaica and continue just to whip those winds around. The landfall just about an hour ago. Now remember, landfall is when that center of the circulation works its way on in. So that's what we've been continuing to look at right now. And you can see this is the center of circulation right there. So the winds from that already were working their way on shore as we went through the day today. Now, as we zoomed our way on in, there's Black River. Right there is that center of circulation. So that's where we then had landfall about an hour ago. But you can see through the night, through the morning hours, all of the winds driving all that water on shore and continuing that high storm surge right around that center of circulation. It's calm right now, but that backside, that's when the winds really start to pick up even more. So where is it going? The projected path as we go through the remainder of the day today, unfortunately, it's a slow mover. Right now, moving north-northeast at 8, so it's picked up a little bit of forward speed. It is going to be moving its way over parts of Jamaica and then continuing out over the open water and then making landfall in parts of Cuba, still as a major hurricane. So it will then continue to work its way offshore and then either further off towards parts of the West Atlantic, downgrading to a Category 2, then a Category 1, getting closer towards Bermuda. But since it's such a slow mover, that's the problem that we're looking at with the intense winds. Winds sustained at 185 miles per hour. But Lindsay, think about this. At one point, we were talking about winds gusting up to more than 200 miles per hour. At last check, that's one of the highest wind gusts ever recorded for a hurricane as well.
All right, so let's talk about a few things to really zero in here on Melissa. Let's talk about the wind field. What does that mean and how big is it?
All right, so the wind field is the winds around the center of circulation. So right around that eye, you have those hurricane force winds, but then there's tropical storm force winds that stretch out even further than that. So we were looking at this, and weather producer and I were estimating this about 400 miles in diameter. Those winds. It's a large storm. So the tropical storm force winds are out by about 195 miles, but across from one side to the other side, it's about 400 miles of a wind field. That's going to shrink as it works its way northeast, but still right now, it's affecting Haiti. It's already affecting parts of Cuba. It's going to be affecting the Bahamas and, of course, Jamaica.
When will people in Jamaica sort of be in the safe zone? When will the worst be over for them?
It's not going to be until later tonight, I think, until probably tomorrow morning as far as the strongest winds and the rain is concerned. Because on top of that, we always talk about the winds, right? We talk about the storm surge, but it's that inland flooding as well. More than 30 inches of rain in Jamaica falling. So that's going to cause landslides. Landslides have already happened. Power has happened. Trees down, power outages. It's going to be not days. I think it's going to be weeks, if not months, for recovery.
And we had heard from officials there saying that, look, they're as prepared as they can be, but their infrastructure just simply can't handle this. Let's talk about the last hurricane to hit Jamaica. It was Gilbert, and that was a Cat 3, right?
It was a Cat 3. It was a major hurricane. So you're at a Cat 3. That's major hurricane status or higher. So we have a graphic to show you right now of Gilbert's path. And you can see it made its way from the east and then worked its way pretty much along the island. So right along that axis, it was 1988. We're thinking in September, landfall as a Category 3. So Jamaica has not seen a major hurricane since 1988. So causing devastation there as it worked right over the axis. Now you can see with Melissa, it's going to be working its way further towards the north and the east. So I'm sure it's still fresh in a lot of people's minds that lived back in that time. But this was one that Melissa will get retired off of the hurricane list when it causes devastation like this.
Wow. Okay, Scott Paget, stand with us. Stay with us if you can stand by. I do want to go right now to Bridget and Wayne Todd. They are two Americans who are in Negril, Jamaica right now at their hotel. Thank you guys for being here. We know you're from North Carolina. You were married last October. You took this as your honeymoon and your first anniversary celebration. So first off, congratulations. Second off, are you guys safe? What is it like where you are?
So we are staying specifically in the Sandals Negril location. We are kind of bunkered down in our resort room. We've got mattresses and furniture against the balcony window and the doors there. We've already prepared to, have a pallet spot in the bathroom in case we have to lock ourselves in there if the window and glass gets broken. Right now, I think we're getting the start of the worst part of the hurricane. We can definitely hear a lot of wind outside, lots of slamming of unsecured doors. We've been taking little peeks outside the window, and there's just debris everywhere.
And you guys are from North Carolina. Have you ever experienced anything like this? How did you know what to do, like with the mattresses and then in the bathroom?
We do get hurricanes in North Carolina. They just had one hit last year in the western part of North Carolina that did a lot of damage. The part of North Carolina we live in is about 4 hours from that location. We did get some of the outskirts of it, but I don't think we've ever experienced anything as bad as Western North Carolina did, or even, of course, as we're getting ready to experience now. We both have, emergency training that will prepare us to do the things that we've already done and take action as needed.
Do you think that emergency training helps you in situations like this? I mean, you both seem really calm. I'm sure that there's some fear and anxiety about what is to come, or maybe you've already expressed that fear to one another. But do you think that training, what's going through your mind right now to try to maintain that calm?
So the good thing with our pass is we work in high risk and high danger situations all the time. So we understand that you can only prepare as much as you can until the event happens and try to stay calm during the crisis. We're doing our best to keep each other calm, give reassurance to each other, and wait out the storm and just see what kind of damage comes afterwards.
I mean, I see a light on. You guys still have power?
Yes.
We do. The resort here has been very well. They've got backup generators. We've had a few sessions of lights flickering on and off about 30 minutes at a time, but they have done very well at how they prepared for all of this and kept all the guests here secured and taken care of.
You tried to get out of town. What happened?
So our initial departure date was this upcoming Wednesday, the 29th. Once we heard that the storm turned from tropical storm to hurricane, we had discussions and we just decided, hey, let's go ahead and try to get out of here. We did have a flight booked for Sunday the 26th. And then the airport, the Montego Bay Airport, decided that they were going to close at noon, therefore it canceled our flight. And we spent hours trying to contact any airline that was coming in to see if they had room for us to get on any of the flights. We were willing to pay whatever amount to get out of here.
And so you're hunkered down, you're making the most of what you can. You said that the resort has been really great in helping you guys. I mean, what preparations have they made for you, if any, other than the generators?
So their starting preparations was trying to get as many people out as possible, encouraging them to get flights back home. After that, they started downsizing the staff here to still meet the requirements of what guests were still here, but that way the other employees could get back home to their families. They've made sure to give us plenty of rations. We get plenty of water and food in our rooms. They've been bringing us meals the last couple hours up to this morning until it got too dangerous for them to step out and come to us. and just gave us as much information as they get coming in to try to keep us informed with what's going on.
Is it possible, I know that you said that you had mattresses and stuff against your balcony and a bathroom situation. Are you guys mobile? Are you in a position where you can show us either of those setups? With
we
the
could take
camera?
your phone with us. Yeah.
Okay, will you show us?
Yes, absolutely. So this is going to be our bathroom situation. We already have like one of the cushions on the ground, just for a little more support, some blankets, some pillows. We also already have our bathtub filled up with water just in case water here becomes contaminated. And then this is like our mattress furniture situation. They did put tape over the windows, so if any of the glass breaks, hopefully it doesn't shatter too bad. But we wanted to make sure that we were secure enough to have all this furniture in place so that nothing would come flying at us from inside.
Can you give us a peek outside the window? You said every now and then you've been peeking. Is it safe to do so?
Yes, I've been kind of standing on top of the furniture and peeking up here above. Let me see if I can get this
Only
for
if
you
it's safe,
guys.
Bridget.
This is kind of what we're looking at right now.
Wow. Yeah, you can see the wind whipping those trees. I have Scott Padgett here with me. He's our meteorologist, Bridget. Scott, can you kind of explain, because I'm just a layman, can you explain what you're seeing as a professional?
Yeah, definitely seeing those strong winds. I do want to point out that now that it's made landfall, the winds sustained have come down to 165 miles per hour, but you're still seeing this, and this is still away from that center of circulation. So you see those winds that are whipping, and then right there you see some of the stronger wind gusts that come through. So you have those sustained winds or those winds. Bridget, we appreciate you being able to show this. And also the storm surge coming up. So we appreciate you being a trooper there for us. But that's exactly what we're seeing, those strong, damaging winds.
Okay, so Bridget and Wayne, thank you. So I want to ask you guys one more question. So Bridget, if you want, you can climb down. I just want to make sure that you guys are safe. Thank you for doing that and helping us get a good idea. I'm not trying to make light of your situation, but given that you're in such a unique circumstance, do you think that something like this where you guys are leaning on each other is making you stronger?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're a great support system. We know a lot about emergency situations. I think that makes us stronger together. This is definitely not the way we anticipated spending our anniversary, but we are just, thankful we do have each other. We're thankful for the staff here and all they've done to keep us updated, prepare us the best that they can. And we're, just asking people to not only pray for us, Americans that are stranded here, but the entire country and its people of Jamaica. I know that some people aren't as fortunate to be in more secure structural situations or even to places of higher ground that would be safer. So we're really thinking about them during this time.
Well said. And you guys are able to communicate with your families and let them know you're safe?
Yes, we've been able to keep in contact as long as we have the Wi-Fi working here.
Everybody's worried about you?
Everybody is worried. The amount of support that we've gotten has been very overwhelming. We're very thankful for everybody and their kind words and their love.
All right. Well, Bridget and Wayne Todd, I hope to be able to continue checking in on you throughout the afternoon as long as you guys still have service and you're safe and in a great spot. So if you're willing, we'd love to talk to you again. Thank you both so much and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go, Scott Padgett, to you. Those images outside of the window were just mind-boggling, and they're so calm.
Yeah, they really are. And they did a lot of things smart. Having the bathtub full of water, because when you lose power and you're not going to have fresh water, it's great that they did that. It's interesting, at 1 o'clock this afternoon, when Melissa made landfall, the center of circulation was 25 miles southwest of Negril. It's moving north-northeast now at 8 miles per hour. So with that in mind, I want to show you can't see moving north-northeast at 8. Look at this, though. That center of circulation, it's moved its way on shore. So the friction from the land, the winds have come down to 165 mile per hour sustained winds as it's moving north and northeast. Pressure 899 millibars. So to put this in perspective, we always talk about the Saffir-Simpson scale. This is the measure of the hurricane force winds. You can see when you get to a Category 3, those are winds of 111 to 129 miles per hour. Category 4, 130 to 156. And then at 5 is 157 miles per hour or higher. So we're still with that Cat 5 as it's moving on shore, even though it has come down to 165 miles per hour. So we talked about that wind field, 400 miles across across. So this yellow area indicates those tropical storm force winds. Then the orange area indicates those winds that are getting very close up to hurricane strength. And then the red is hurricane strength, which is 74 miles per hour. So as this continues to move its way to the north and east, it's going to move its way over Cuba, over parts of the southeast and central Bahamas, and then work its way towards the north and east. So those winds are going to be here as we go through the remainder of the day today, tonight, and even into tomorrow. So we're looking at that. Here's the wind gust forecast. You can see in Cuba, near 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That center of circulation working offshore by the time we go towards tomorrow morning over the Bahamas. And then as it works into some cooler waters, we'll continue to downgrade even more. So the projected path does have it out over the West Atlantic. Lizzie, this is definitely a storm that we've been watching. And the challenge was it was such a slow mover. It sat for days and fed off of that warm Caribbean water. It really blew up into a Cat 5, and now that slow movement causing problems. Because if it was faster, yes, it's devastating, it works its way on shore, but the slow movement has all that rain falling in those winds.
Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Safford-Simpson scale, and I remember speaking to our friend John Elliott and our colleague, and he thinks that rain total should also be taken into account with these categories, because you're talking about, you said, at least 30 inches, right?
Yeah, at least 30 inches of rain. And remember, you have some, the tropical tropical topography, we'll say, and then you're going to get flash floods. Flash flooding is already happening. Landslides have already been happening in Jamaica. And what's interesting, too, even over in parts of Haiti, they're dealing with rainfall of 15 to 20 to 25 inches. They're getting mudslides there, landslides there. So rain, we always want to mention, yes, we talk about the winds a lot, but a lot of the deaths come from also that flooding.
All right, Scott Paget, thank you. We are going to take a short break. Stay with us. You're watching CBS News 24/7.
No matter how you start your day, one thing is very clear.
CBS Mornings is the best way to start your day.
Could this change the way that we think about vaccines?
Rent at an affordable level and invest.
Initiatives aimed at making infant formulas safer.
I love when we provide information like this to new parents.
CBS Mornings.
Weekdays at 7.
Do you believe this case could be solved?
Yes, I do.
I never would have guessed how this ended.
48 Hours, now streaming on CBS and Paramount Plus.
CBS Sunday night.
Here we go.
The ultimate tradition continues.
What I've seen, it's like chaos.
America's longest running news magazine show is back.
For 60 minutes!
60 minutes.
With a new season.
Hey, let's go.
You're willing to talk about anything. I'm open to all of it.
Ask me the hard-hitting questions.
So how do you get over the nerves?
Honestly, it's a whole bunch of mind.
The most influential people.
Who's the best coach in college football?
Let me see a mirror so I can look at it.
Are you a billionaire yet? None of your business. Ain't you trying to get me robbed?
Investigative journalism.
Am I getting a real look at what life is like in here today? Absolutely not.
Do you think people visiting know